Good evening, everyone. So, come on, who all have joined? Waiting for your greet. You have reached the last station of your audit subjects journey, chapter 13. हाँ, ये 5-6 लोग ही पहुंचे क्या लास्ट तक? बाकी बीच वाले स्टेशन पे उतर गए हैं क्या? ओके, किरण, दीक्षा, भूमिका, कोमल, राजीव, दर्शन. आई एम रियली गुड, दर्शन. थैंक यू. आयशा, पाठक साहब, मलय, लोगसुंदर, तनिषा. आई सपोज और भी लोग थे जब हम लास्ट टाइम मिले थे. कृष्णा. राइट 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 राइट. सो reach the last leg of this subject, right? So how has been the journey till now? Subject of audit. कैसा फील कर रहे हैं? सुधांशु, दीक्षिता. नाइस. बन चुकी हैं ऑडिटर और जस्ट nearing to that phase, turning into an auditor? 12 chapters you have been through. What is the feeling? Hi Sankaran, Manisha, Bhumika. Bhumika is amazed with audit, huh? At audit. Right, right. Baki sab, come on, just let us have a healthy chat for the initial 5 minutes, then we'll start our chapter. So how have you been finding audit? पाठक साहब कह रहे हैं concept got, provision have to be remembered. Yeah, that is a must requirement. That is must. Concepts you have understood. Now you'll have to work upon how to attempt the answers to the questions. Aisha is very interesting. Malay LinkedIn. Darshan says journey has been very long, sir. Feeling like an auditor. Yes. If you're feeling like an auditor, now you have to work upon executing the work like an auditor. And in your case, execution of work is attempting the answers to the questions. Quite interesting subject in practical field. Yes, it is. Really excited for last chapter. The journey was really good, guys. It would be my endeavor to make this chapter as interesting as I can for you people so that you can conclude this journey of audit on a healthy and a happy note. Yes, see, practice is very much required. And for practice, I would always say that make sure to do written practice. It's very important. It is a critical subject, but you have to be very much particular with the terminologies, the technical jargons, and how effective can you write. Only written practice can make you do that. Okay. I understand, Kiran, it is very difficult to remember theory, but as I shared with you, you can make chapter charts, you can make flow charts on your own with your own efforts and in your style. In whatever style you remember theory, you will be able to grasp the concepts in your style, make short notes or make flow charts, and then you'll be able to realize. try to corroborate with the real life examples, and then after understanding the concept, write in a legible professional language. You cannot write in just layman language or like that. You have to write professionally, using professional words, citing professional examples, and be very specific to your questions. This is what, if you find audit difficult, this is what makes it difficult. Darshan, thank you. Okay, chaliye. So as I told you in the previous lecture as well, good Dikshita, very good. And you find it over there as well on the institute's website. Go to the student section, BOS Knowledge Portal. BOS Knowledge Portal, you have an icon by the name of subject references, subject capsules, right? Just go to that option. I'll show you at the end of the session today the subject references. In that part, you have flowchart for every subject, be it accounts, be it law, be it taxes, be it audit. You have flowcharts already over there, prepared at the institute's end. You can download them, you can read them virtually, you can get them printed, whatever you like, howsoever you may like, it is already there, right? Flowcharts are already there on subject references or capsule part. So if you people don't know about it, I'll show you at the end of the session today, right? So as I told you, first 3 chapters were the basic audit, what is audit, and about the auditor, about quality control. Then you had audit evidence, audit documentation, audit program, audit planning. Further, we had chapter number 4, risk assessment and internal control. So this is one block, the basics of auditing, controls and risks, जहां पे आपने खत्म किया, one block. After that, we started with some short chapters. Which were they? Fraud, automated environment, sampling, analytical procedures. So these 4 were the shorter topics, some audit tools, some audit situations, which were for which the initial 4 chapters were necessary to do. Then some shorter topics. At chapter number 8, you had finished the basics of auditing and the auditing tools, methods, and techniques. Now came the time to apply what you have read, to start practical auditing, right? So you, first of all, what you had read, you applied it on the financial statements, item by item, the balance sheet items, the profit and loss items, the assertions. That was your chapter number 9. Then you shifted a notch higher, and then you moved on to companies, the company audit and the audit report by the auditor. So we could say that we are finished with the auditing part at chapter number 11, when we concluded with audit report. That was your second block, chapter number 9, chapter number 10, chapter number 11. Now came the block 3rd, miscellaneous chapters. That was chapter number 12 and chapter number 13, which are governed by other laws as well, like bank audit, governed by the Banking Regulation Act as well, Companies Act as well. And chapter number 13, where like bank audit, where the entity involved is banks, we have read about different business constitutions, proprietorship, partnership, LLP, HUF, cooperative societies, hotels, clubs, hospitals, educational institutions. So in reality, what do? You go to these places, you audit their accounts, you audit their controls, you audit their revenue expenditure. That is what you do. And they are governed by certain statutes as well, under which they have been established. So now at the end of this journey, after doing bank audit, this is a miscellaneous chapter where miscellaneous entities are involved. Whatever you have read about auditing, auditing techniques, and the auditing methods, we are going to apply all those to various entities in this particular chapter. Chapter number 13. You can say it is like the khichdi, right? But we have to be very specific with each and every entity. So when we start our chapter, audit of different types of entities. So these are our topics for this chapter and the next 3 classes. Audit of different types of entities, where we have, see, sole trader, a partnership firm, a charitable organization, an NGO, educational institutions like schools, colleges and universities, hospitals, clubs, cinema hall. अब देखो ऐसा है, बाकी चैप्टर्स में तो you'll have to be with me, and when we do the club part, the cinema hall, then we'll go virtually to these places, right? I'll take you the world of club, to the world of cinema, to the world of hotels, and you yourself will be telling me the auditing points. We'll be covering these interesting parts like that only. And hire purchase and leasing companies, LLPs, and cooperative societies. So these are the different types of entities which we are going to read in this particular chapter. And Darshan, you have to make a promise to me that you'll not run faster than me. First, मैं ही आऊंगा, तुम नहीं आओगे. You'll not run faster than me, right? Okay, Darshan? मेरा टॉपिक से पहले इसका क्वेश्चन तैयार होता है. चलिए. So let us start with our first topic. So these are some common points which these are the general points which you will find in every kind of entity. So audit of different entities, what is this? Right? Major points just a second, guys. Major points that must be kept in mind while performing the audit of these entities. So these are some general points. Okay? Like constitution of the organization. So you have to understand the constitution. Bhumika, it is covered at CA final level. So constitution could be, it is a sole proprietor, it is a firm, it is a company, it is an NGO, Section 8 company, what it is. Then examine the bylaws or rules and regulations or trust deed. So if it is a partnership firm, you have to examine the partnership deed, because the partnership would be governed by the partnership deed, the agreement. LLP, you have again the LLP agreement. In the case of company, you have the MOA and AOA. In the case of a trust, you have the trust deed. So the document, as per the constitution of the organization, the entity, you have to go through that. Then examine the powers of the members of the management and other officers. What powers have the partners got, the directors got, in the case of trust, trustees and the management. And in the last, whatever meetings they hold, in the case of company, partnership, trust, society, you have to examine what happened during the year which is under audit. On what topics were the meetings held, what was discussed, what was concluded, what resolutions were passed, and you can get through the minute books of various meetings, right? These are some of the common points with respect to constitution of the organization. Then other points, the internal control system you have to evaluate, but obvious. Accounting policies you have to check for. Then various receipts, vouchers, you'll have to check. Check the various expenditures, capital, revenue, verification of assets and liabilities. Other assertions we have covered in chapter number 9. These are the common points, the general points which we would be taking up, or they are assumed to be covered with every entity. ठीक? चलिए, we'll start with the most common and the most easy form of constitution, that is the sole proprietor. Okay, see the image over here, sole proprietor. What does this image tell you about the sole proprietor? What does this image signify about the sole proprietor? Tell me, what do you perceive? What can you observe or get while looking at this image on the top left of the screen? पाठक साहब, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मीन्स जो आपने +2 में पढ़ा है, वेरियस फॉर्म्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वो प्रोप्राइटरशिप है, पार्टनरशिप है, एलएलपी है, वो कंपनी है, वो सोसाइटी है, वो एचयूएफ है, उसका वो मतलब है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का। और जो भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन होगा उसको गवर्न करता एक डॉक्यूमेंट होगा। वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। यस, वेरी गुड। तनीषा, मलय, दर्शन, हिमांशु, किरण, दीक्षा, सुधांशु, अक्षय, very good. So multitasker is doing every kind of work, right? Documentation, conversing with the client, time management, सब कुछ करना है उसे, everything. So there is no difference between the ownership and the management. All rounder. So he has to do everything. He can, employ some people, but everything is under his or her control. So that is a sole proprietor. What do you do in the case of a sole proprietor? You prepare a trading or profit and loss account. You prepare a balance sheet and his capital account. Do you remember the business entity concept you read in accounts? Himanshu, that is an undebatable term. So the business entity concept, the business and the owner are two different entities. See, a sole trader is under no legal obligation to have his accounts audited. So basically, accounts को audit करते क्यों? What is the purpose? To give the auditor's opinion on true and fair view of the accounts. However, he may get his financial statements audited either voluntarily, he wants it, or due to regulatory requirements such as inventory brokers or on specific instructions of the bank for approval of loans, etc. What happens, people, like you go to the bank, a sole proprietor, and they ask for loan. So bank says, please show us your accounts. What profits have you been making, and how well are you doing in your business? On the basis of that only we can give you loan. How financially sound you are, how financially healthy your accounts are. So let us say Himanshu is there. Pathak Saab, with your due permission, I am taking you as a sole proprietor over here. तो पाठक साहब गए बैंक में और बैंक को कहा मुझे लोन चाहिए, मुझे अपना बिजनेस एक्सपैंड करना है। द बैंक सेज ओके, फर्निश योर अकाउंट्स। पाठक साहब अकाउंट्स ले आए, सॉफ्टवेयर में से निकाल के, वट एवर सॉफ्टवेयर ही यूजेस, बैलेंस शीट, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस ले आए, एंड they give it to the bank manager. The bank manager looks at the accounts and he says, how can I believe that these accounts are true and fair? पाठक जी से, सर मैं दे रहा हूं आपको ये अकाउंट्स, मैं आपके सामने हूं, मेरी बुक्स चेक कर लीजिए। तो बैंक मैनेजर से, दिस इज ओनली एन अकाउंटिंग एंट्री वर्क, you can punch in any entry you want, you can show as many profits as you want. I cannot come to your business and check each and every receipt or your bank statements or everything. Quite appropriate. The bank manager is not that free that he can check each and every client's accounts and all. So this is where the bank say, please get these books of accounts audited from a chartered accountant, because this is what is the work of a chartered accountant as per the law under various regulations. The Income Tax Act envisages this responsibility upon the chartered accountant, that please audit the books of the client as per the provisions of the income tax. That is called an income tax audit. Here the bank is asking for getting the audit done. So on the pursuit of the bank, so that we may get a loan, we visit a chartered accountant. Pathak Saab would go to a chartered accountant and would ask him, request him. They'll get into an agreement that this books are being audited on the basis of this as per the requirement of the client. If it is under a law, the books have to be audited, then the requirements of that law would be mentioned. So Pathak Saab would get the books of account audited from a chartered accountant, furnish it to the bank manager. The bank manager will have a look. He'll check the authenticity of the documents that actually been audited by a chartered accountant, and believing upon those statements, the bank will sanction the loan as per the requirement and eligibility of Himanshu. ठीक? Right? Simple. See, this is the magic, this is the strength, this is the power of the signature of a chartered accountant. That the bank could believe upon that attestation only, that a loan was granted to the client. Darshan Pathak Saab is not a chartered accountant yet. He is a student अभी. अगर मुझे लोन चाहिए, I am a chartered accountant, I cannot self-certify my accounts. You know, that would be conflict of interest. I cannot self-certify it. How would the bank believe? Okay, चलिए. Auditors of sole proprietary concerns shall be appointed by the sole proprietor himself. पाठक जी ने खुद रिक्वेस्ट किया. Sole proprietor can determine the scope of the audit as well as the conditions under which it will be carried out. So Pathak ji will sit with the chartered accountant. Himanshu will sit with the chartered accountant whom he is visiting, and they'll discuss what has to be covered. So Himanshu would say, sir, please audit my books of accounts. Whatever is in front of you, the balance sheet and profit and loss, like chapter 9 you did, the chapter 9, as per the assertions, all the things would be audited. So there is no need to audit the internal controls and all that stuff. So there is no need. Scope decided between Himanshu and the chartered accountant, because the bank is concerned with the authenticity, the genuineness and the strength of these financial accountants, whether they represent true and fair view or not. For time being, they are not interested in the controls. That is a requirement, but for abhi ke liye, they want whether these accounts are true and fair or not. So let us limit the scope to that only. Whether my CCTV is functioning properly or not, I'll get it rectified, but that is not a part of this audit. So they'll discuss on the part to be covered, the scope, the fees, and the time and manner of conducting the audit. It is desirable that the contract of appointment of auditor in such a case should be in writing and should clearly define the scope of the work which the auditor is expected to carry out. If the appointment of the auditor is not in writing, the auditor should write to his client explaining the scope of his duties. So I'll write to Himanshu. Himanshu ji, you came to me for this audit. So we haven't entered into a written contract. I am writing to you that as per our discussion, this is the scope of my audit. While doing so, he should state the limitations. You have, Himanshu ji, you have asked me not to audit the internal controls, so I'll not be taking up the internal controls. And you have asked me to conduct the audit during the office hours only because your accountant is available at that time only, 10 to 5. Okay, these are the limitations you have put upon me. I'll be working as per these circumstances. If any placed upon his work to obtain the client's information. In case of change of auditor, it would be duty of incoming auditor to communicate with the previous auditor. So this is something which is ethical, as well as it is something which we owe to our brothers and sisters in the profession. For example, Himanshu is not satisfied with my work this year. So he's not bound to get books audited always by me. He can visit any of other person. Suppose he goes to Darshan. His friend is also chartered accountant. पहले नहीं ध्यान था, पहले मेरे पास आया, बाद में दर्शन के पास गए. And in that case, Darshan, there is a change of auditor. So who is the incoming auditor here? Darshan. And who is the previous or the outgoing auditor? I. So Darshan would communicate with me. Sir, this person has approached me to get his books audited. You were the previous auditor. I hope you don't have any objection against him appointing me as the auditor for this time, currently. If there is any issue, please let me know. That is something which is brotherhood, which is it is a necessity as well under the your professional ethics. You will read in your CA finals in the chapter of audit. So the incoming auditor has to communicate with the previous auditor. Nahi bhumika doesn't apply to the case of sole proprietor. Okay, that is what was with the sole proprietor. Now coming to partnership firm. We all know partnership firm. Partnership firm is governed by the partnership agreement known as partnership deed. You all have read about it in law, in your accounts. You have done partnership to a great extent. Normal partnership, then admission, retirement, debt, reconstitution, Gardner versus Murray rule, and the dissolution of partnership, proportionate capital, maximum loss. Partnership is like it is running in your blood now. Jitna you have done accounts and SME. Himanshu, yes. See, in the case of sole proprietor, if it is under a state regulation law, then it is must. Otherwise, if it is just a normal audit, voluntary audit, then it is recommended. Right, Himanshu? So, in the case of a partnership firm, appointment of auditors, the auditor to a firm is usually appointed by the partners. Like in the case of sole proprietor, here partners appoint either on the basis of a decision taken by them jointly or to comply with the condition in the partnership agreement. So if it is written in the partnership agreement, the books have to be audited. They have to get their books audited to comply with that condition written in the partnership agreement. Or if it's not written, they may decide among themselves mutually even after drafting the agreement. Remuneration is also fixed by the partners. The letter of appointment should clearly state the nature and scope of audit, limitations and all. In case of change of auditor, duty to communicate with the previous auditor. The auditor may particularly ensure application of accounting standards prescribed by the institute. So we have accounting standards issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. They have been prescribed to be followed by the entities in the country while maintaining their books of account. Unless and until a particular law comes out with a different set of standards, I'll have to check the books of account and the client has to maintain the books of account as per the general accounting standard issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Okay. So as an auditor, I will also check the application, whether the accounting standards have been applied or not. For example, in India, the accounting standards say that you, for inventory valuation, you can follow FIFO or weighted average. LIFO is not prescribed in India. If a particular proprietor or partnership firm is following LIFO method of maintaining inventory, then it is not as per the standards. Right? Or in our country, we follow the cash or accrual concept. In some cases cash, in some cases accrual, but we don't follow the hybrid concept. These are basic accounting assumptions. In case the firm is required to get its account audited under the requirements of any institute, it could be income tax, it could be GST, any other law, the auditor will have to qualify the report in case of non-compliance with the accounting standards. Now, you people know what is the meaning of qualification, or how does an auditor qualify the report. If the auditor finds a non-compliance with the accounting standards, वो report qualify करेगा. उसको फॉर्मेट दिया गया तो उस फॉर्मेट के अंदर, नहीं तो अपना ड्राफ्ट करेंगे ऑडिटर और रिपोर्ट क्वालिफाई करेंगे. Alternatively, only disclosure of non-compliance, right, with the accounting standards would be sufficient without making it a subject matter of qualification. See the genuinity of the non-compliance. If it is like a serious one, then you'll have to qualify. But if you find, as per the circumstances or matter of fact, that it is not that serious one, it is a general non-compliance, you may give a disclosure in the audit report. You might not qualify the report. You may just give a disclosure, because qualification is a serious matter. So as per the facts and circumstances of the case and per the provisions of the law, if you find that the non-compliance from accounting standards is not that serious or is not that much affecting the books of accounts, you can give a disclosure rather than a qualification. Shivangini, scope and conditions, but whatever is covered in scope, that is the chartered accountant's duty. It cannot be determined by the sole proprietor. If the sole proprietor says or the partner says, please audit my books, I am auditing its profit and loss, whatever non-compliance I'll find, the proprietor cannot do anything with it. If there is a flaw, there is a deviation, it is there. It has nothing to do with the scope. Scope is basically how much to be done. That can be decided. But how it has to be done, it is the responsibility of the chartered accountant. The client has got no say in that. Okay, Shivangini? Right? So there are some matters which the auditor has to consider before starting his audit. What are those? The name and style under which the business shall be conducted. What is the name? What is the name of the firm? So you have understood that an individual may have a different name and his firm may have a different name. So the partners could be ABC and the firm's name could be ABC and Associates. My name is Vipul, but my firm's name could not have my name. It could be ABC and Associates. So the name and style, the name of the entity you are going to audit, style is the constitution. The duration of the partnership, here it is the partnership. The duration of the partnership, if it is at will or for a certain period. In our country, usually the partnerships are at will only, if nothing prescribed, nothing mentioned. कैपिटल कौन पार्टनर कितना ला रहा है, फिक्स्ड है, वेरिएबल है, किस पीरियड के बाद अकाउंट्स क्लोज किए जाएंगे और उनको ऑडिट करवाया जाएगा, प्रॉफिट डिवाइड किया जाएगा, प्रॉफिट और लॉस रेशियो सेम रखनी है, प्रॉफिट की अलग रखनी है, लॉस की अलग रखनी है. डू गाइस नो दैट द रेशियो ऑफ प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस कैन बी डिफरेंट? The capital contribution ratio, the profit sharing ratio, and the loss sharing ratio, all these three ratios can be different or the same. I hope everybody knows this. The provisions regarding maintenance of books of accounts and the matters which must be taken into account for determining the profits of the firm. For example, if you have to create any reserves, the depreciation provided for, and you have to consider if anything mentioned in the deed that if there is a mistake, can we reopen the books to rectify an error? Up to what amount can the partnership borrow? Has it been written in the deed? The rate of interest as set by the partners to be allowed on the capitals, loan taken by the partner or provided by the partner to the firm. On withdrawals, partner remuneration, how has it been fixed? Who is the managing partner? Who is the working partner? Are all the partners managing, working, or two of them are working, one is sleeping, nominal? You have read about different types of partnership. This is very important, people. This is very important. The main cause of tussle, if a partnership dissolves or there is a dispute between the partners. Who shall operate the bank account of the firm? Because a partner may visit the bank if he has the authority and may give in writing and get the bank account freeze. How will the surplus funds of the partnership be invested? Have they decided among them or they'll decide it as per the availability of surplus funds? Limitations and restrictions that have been agreed upon, the rights and powers of various partners, their implied authority, their liabilities. These are all matters which, as an auditor, I have to consider before starting the audit of a partnership firm. I need to have knowledge of all these facts and circumstances. So what is the importance of getting the books of accounts audited in the case of a partnership firm? Disputes. If there is a dispute between the partners relating to various credit and debit balances, it could be in their name, it could be relating to any expenses, profits, losses, whatsoever, capital contributions. So the audited books, the audited financial statements act as a conclusive proof. If you have audited financial statements, they prove whatever is contained in those audited financial statements, that cannot be challenged easily. You know, the partners, whatever they may say, but they'll have to rely upon the audited financial statements, and audited financial statements, in case of dispute, can be produced in a court of law as evidence with respect to the balances. So in the case of disputes, audited financial statements are a good evidence. On the dissolution, so on the retirement or that we want to add a new partner, so you guys would calculate the sacrificing ratio, the gaining ratio, what would the outgoing partner take with him or her, what would the incoming partner bring as goodwill or his share. So these are all based upon the profits of the firm, purchase of 5-year profits, purchase of 3-year profits. What are their balances in the book? So if we have audited balances with us, they are logged. Once audited, they are logged. So they can be taken as a base, authentic base, to calculate all those ratios in the case of dissolution. Reliability, as I told you, in the case of banks, banks rely upon audited financial statements while advancing loans. In the case of tenders floated, they ask for your financial statements. How healthy is your business? How well have you been making profits? How well is your debt payment ratios? How effective is your working? How efficient you are? That can be seen from your financial statement. Admission of a partner, we have discussed. Control over various elements. The same is point like proprietorship firm. Audit, apart from attesting the financial statements, the auditor can give us certain suggestions to improve our working, to improve on saving various expenses, cost cutting, to improve our accounting methods, books, the management. So here is this professional who can help you in day-to-day working. Give you suggestions. He'll not be there with you on a day-to-day basis, but definitely he can give you suggestions to improve your daily routine, professional routine, business routine. So this is an examination question as well in the past. What are the advantages of audit of a partnership firm? 4 marks question it was. Special points in the audit of a partnership firm. If you are auditing a partnership firm, there are certain points which you need to keep in mind. What are these points? Appointment. Confirming that the letter of appointment signed by a partner duly authorized clearly states the nature and scope of audit. Like in the case of proprietor over here, it is the partner, the appointment letter. The partnership deed, you get a copy of the partnership deed signed by all the partners because that is the authentic copy. A copy of the partnership deed. And you'll have to ask whether it has been registered with the registrar or firms or not. Because in the case of partnership, it is voluntary. It is not mandatory in India to get the partnership firm registered. It is at will. So we'll have to ask the partners whether you have got your firm registered or it is an unregistered firm. Minutes book. Himanshu's favorite. Reading the minute book to check whatever policy decisions have been taken by the partners relating to extraordinary and capital expenditure. A heavy machinery has been purchased by the firm. It is a manufacturing firm during the last year. Whether it was properly authorized and discussed in the meeting of the partners. लोन लेना है बैंक से, कोई बहुत ही difficult contract करना है vendors के साथ. So it was actually discussed by the partners so that there is no dispute in future. The objectives of the partnership firm. So in the partnership deed, the partners sign and write what are the objects of the partnership and means what business the partnership firm would venture into. Clothing business, hotel industry, hospitality industry, manufacturing business, what kind of stuff it is going to deal in, commodity or service. So the auditor will have to check that in the partnership deed. Apart from discussing with the partners, the books of account should appear to be reasonable and are considered adequate in relation to the nature of business of partnership. Mutual interest. You might have read that word fiduciary capacity. Have you read that? In the capacity of mutual trust among the partners, fiduciary capacity. Verifying that the interest of no partner has suffered prejudicially. What is meant by prejudicially? It means your gain at the cost of someone else. So the someone else at whose cost you are making gain, his interest is compromised. That is known as suffering prejudicially. By an activity, engage in the partnership which it was not authorized to do under the partnership deed or violation of any partnership agreements. Okay. Himanshu, Bhumika, and Darshan, they get into a partnership agreement. They become chartered accountants. They set up a partnership firm. All three are partners in that firm, and they all agree on a point in the partnership deed that whatever professional work we are doing will not do any work in individual capacity and will do that in this firm only. Okay. They all agreed. But while checking the books of account or whatever information I could gather, I'm a watchdog as an auditor. What I could see or what I could observe or what I could have found during the audit, that one of them goes from the office in the evening and they're doing their separate work as well. First of all, we'll have to see whether it is allowed as a professional. Okay. Allowed, not allowed, decided. If it is allowed, whether their partnership agreement allows this, because whatever work, for example, Darshan is doing, whatever work is doing at home, had he not had taken up that work, it would have gone to the partnership firm. The partnership firm would have been doing it. So Darshan is making personal priority to his personal profits over the work of the partnership firm. That is prejudicial to the interest of other partners. Say if I had earned a contract of 10,000 rupees to do an assignment, had he not accepted it on an individual basis, but in the partnership firm, that 10,000 income or remuneration would have been the income of the firm. All the partners would have enjoyed it. They would have worked upon it. But he is doing on his own. So whether your partnership agreement allows for such kind of work or not, is it in violation of the partnership agreement? Then this is also not good. If it has come to your notice, you should bring it to their knowledge, because a partnership has mutual interest and fiduciary capacity as its basic component. Right? Then tax provision, quite common. The chartered accountants check whether they have made provision for taxes properly or not. And profit and loss is being divided as per the ratio decided in the partnership deed. So these are the points in the audit of a partnership firm. Okay. Any doubts till now? We'll move to the next part then. We are done with 2, sole proprietor and partnership. Chali. So what happened in after that year 2000, we had these forms of organization, proprietorships, partnership, companies. So a need was felt where 2 or more persons could get into such kind of constitution where they could enjoy the benefits of a partnership as well as a company. So can you tell me what is the benefit in the partnership firm which is not available in company form, and one benefit which is available in company form but not available in partnership? Come on, tell me. A benefit that is available if you work as a partnership firm, but not available if you form a company. And one benefit which is available as a corporate form in company form, but not available in partnership form. Come on, tell me. आप पार्टनरशिप फर्म बनाना चाहते हैं पर आपका मन कंपनी की तरफ जा रहा है क्योंकि कोई एक बेनिफिट ऐसा है जो कंपनी फॉर्म में मिल रहा है पर पार्टनरशिप में नहीं मिल रहा। आप फर्म में काम करना चाहते हैं पर कंपनी में एक बहुत अच्छा बेनिफिट मिल रहा है जो फर्म में हमें नहीं मिलता। ओके सिद्धांशु, वेरी गुड। लायबिलिटी in partnership firm, the liabilities of the partners is unlimited. You have done it in your accounts. Insolvency, the partner who is insolvent, other partners bear his loss, his or her. So in case of partnership firm, the liability of the partners is unlimited, while in company form, it is limited to the value of share. Limited liability. That is why companies के end में you use the word limited, private limited और public के लिए limited. The liability is limited over there. If a company goes insolvent, it is insolvent. They can ask only that much amount unpaid. On shares. They cannot come to your home and take all your assets. Very good, very good. And one more point, separate legal entity. In partnership, although you take the form of partnership firm and you have to apply for a different PAN, different, a firm, you give the name to the firm. But when the liability of the partnership is unlimited, it is one and the same thing, partners and the firm. But in the case of company, it is a separate legal entity concept where the company, the ownership and the management are different. There is a demarcation between the people who own the company and who manage the company, while it is not the case with the partnership. The separate legal entity concept of the partnership. Now, if I am getting lewd by the limited liability plus point of the company, what is the plus point in partnership firm? There are less compliances. You need, it is completely your will to get it registered or not, but a company has to be registered. There are many compliances involved. Even for a small change in the company, you'll have to file a form with the MCA, which is not there in the case of a partnership firm. You'll have to hold board meetings, and for some cases, in some cases, you have to hold general meetings of the members to take certain decisions, which is a time-consuming process. But in the case of partnership, only the partners need to sit and decide. So less compliances, more efficient working. In that case, I was more interested in going with the partnership firm option. So the business world in the company in the country felt the need that there should be a form of organization which is the hybrid of these two forms of organization, taking all their plus points, the limited liability from the company part, but lesser compliances from the partnership part. And this gave birth to the concept of LLP, limited liability partnership. So let us understand what is limited liability partnership. LLP is an alternative corporate business form that gives the benefits of limited liability of a company and flexibility of a partnership. right? A limited liability partnership, popularly known as LLP, combines the advantages of both the company and partnership into a single form of organization. You can enjoy the benefits of company as well as partnership form of organization by getting an LLP incorporated. LLP is governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Act of 2008 and it has been amended recently. It came into force with effect from April 1, 2009. Okay, why is there a difference of 1 year? The Act says 2008, but it came into effect from April 1, 2009. The Indian Partnership Act is not applicable to LLP. Make sure, just remember this point. We have a separate act for the LLPs, that is a Limited Liability Partnership Act. Partnership Act के provisions नहीं applicable है. The act was framed in 2008, but it was made applicable in the year 2009. Right? LLP is a body incorporate and a legal entity separate from its partners, having perpetual succession, can own assets in its name, sue and be sued. All the features of company form. The partners have the right to manage the business directly, unlike corporate shareholders, where the owners are different from the people managing the company. Here, like partnership, the partners are the owners as well as they are able to manage the business on their own. One partner is not responsible for liable for another partner's misconduct or negligence, while it was the case in the partnership firm. It was a matter of case in partnership firm that a partner, they have mutual interest, they act in fiduciary capacity on behalf of others. The partners can be held responsible for each other's misconduct, but not in the case of LLP. An LLP needs to have two partners minimum, and there is no maximum limit on the number of partners. The rights and duties of partners in an LLP will be governed by the agreement between partners, and the partners have the flexibility to devise the agreement. Devise matlab frame the agreement as per their choice. The duties and obligations of designated partners shall be provided in law. Now, who is a designated partner? Who is a designated partner? A partner, like there is a working partner in partnership firm. So here we have designated partners, partners who are given the authority to take certain decisions on behalf of the LLP. At least two partners should be designated partners who will be under an obligation to obtain the DPIN, designated partner identification number. Darshan, proprietorship or partnership? So any number of partners, n number of partners can be there, but at least two partners have to be designated partners. They'll be given the authority to take decisions. If they are designated partners, it is assumed that they have been given the authority by all other partners. You can make as many partners designated as you want, but minimum two should be there. Minimum two partners should be given that should be assigned as designated partners, and they'll have to take this DPIN. What is DPIN? Designated partner identification number. Like with income tax, we have PAN. With GST, we have GST number. With the Election Commission of India, we have the voter card. With UDI, we have the Aadhaar card. In the same way, a person registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, LLPs fall under Ministry of Corporate Affairs. like companies. So whatever compliances we do with respect to companies, the compliances we'll have to do in the case of LLP as well, and we report it on the website of MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. That was not in the case of partnership. So with MCA, you need to have a unique ID with them, number with them, through which they can access you. They can have all your data. So DPIN is designated partner identification number. Have you people read about DIN? What is a DIN? Have you people read about it? DIN. What is a DIN? So I'm going to tell you something really interesting over here. Just tell me if you read whether you have read about DIN or not in law. And if you have, what is it? Yeah. Yes. Director identification number. So when you form a company, before that, while forming a company, the persons who are going to be the directors of the company will have to register themselves with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And when they get registered with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, they are issued a DIN, a specific unique number ID with their name. That is on a director identification number, a number to identify the director in the database of MC. In the same way, if you have become the designated partner of an LLP, you have to register yourself with MCA, and in that case, you will be issued a DPIN, designated partner identification number. Now, my question, I am already registered with MCA. I have a DIN. Now I also become a designated partner in an LLP sometime later. Do I need to take a DPIN or not? Or vice versa, I am a designated partner in an LLP. When I registered with the MCA, I was issued a DPIN. I'm having a valid DPIN. Now after 2 or 3 years or 6 months, 5 months, I become a director in a company. Do I need to apply for a DIN as well, or get a DIN issued in my name? Should I hold DPIN and DIN, or only one is enough? What is your thought on this? What is your thought on this? Just tell me. मैंने एलएलपी में डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर हूं, मेरे पास डीपिन है, अब मैं किसी कंपनी में डायरेक्टर बन जाता हूं, तो मुझे डिन अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा? या मैं पहले से किसी कंपनी में डायरेक्टर हूं, अब मैं थोड़े टाइम बाद किसी एलएलपी में डेजिग्नेटेड पार्टनर बन जाता हूं, तो आई एम ऑलरेडी होल्डिंग अ डिन, तो मुझे क्या डीपिन अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा एमसी की वेबसाइट पे जाके? ये पूछ रहा हूं मैं आप लोगों से. Yes, Darshan. Yes, you can hold directorships as well as designated partnerships at the same time. भूमिका says only one is enough. बाकी क्या कहते हैं? 2 नंबर चाहिए, कंपनी का अलग, एलएलपी का अलग, या एक ही बहुत है? क्या कहते हैं बाकी लोग? I know you'll be guessing only, but guess at least. Okay, Sudhanshu says 1, Diksha says both, Bhumika says 1, बाकी लोग अभी तक सोच रहे हैं क्या, बताएंगे नहीं मुझे? Rajiv says both. Varsha says both. Darshan says both. Dinesh Kothari says no, one is okay. चलिए, पाठक साहब कहाँ गए? हिमांशु, what is your say? See, just applying a common logic. What is the requirement of this particular ID? You need to have an ID with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So two parties are involved, you and Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA. आपका एक आइडेंटिफिकेशन चाहिए एमसीए को, और एक बार जो आइडेंटिफिकेशन आ गया उसमें आपकी सब डिटेल्स लगी हैं, योर नेम, योर पैन, योर अदर डिटेल्स with the same documents. In the case of a same with the same party, that is MCA, why do we need a separate registration? We need separate registrations in case the parties are different. With income tax, we both are parties. Income tax acknowledges us through PAN, GST through GST ID, Election Commission recognizes us through voter card, UID recognizes us through Aadhaar card. In the same way, MCA needs just a recognition mechanism in the form of an ID. If you are already holding a DIN, that is enough. You need not apply for a DPIN. Or if you are already holding a DPIN and afterwards you become a director for the first time in any company, you need not apply for DIN, only DPIN will serve the purpose. Whether DIN or DPIN, the main purpose of such numbers is to be recognized by MCA in their database. So as a person A, if you search with his DIN on the MCA database, it will show you in how many companies the person is a director in and how many limited liability partnerships he is a designated partner. Whatever occasion comes first, you'll have to obtain only one identification number. Whether it be DPIN or DIN, you need not have the other one. Because once you get registered with MC database, that is enough. I hope it is clear. Guys, is it clear? Chaliye. Rules regarding accounts. An LLP shall be under obligation to maintain annual accounts relating to a particular year, reflecting true and fair view of its state of affairs. LLPs are required to, this is under the LLP Act, they are required to maintain books of accounts which shall contain particulars of all sums of money received and expended by the LLP. क्या इनकम, क्या आपके पास रुपया आया, कहां आपने खर्च किया, एवरीथिंग, and the matters in respect of which the receipt and expenditure take place. कहां से आया, कहां खर्च किया. A record of the assets and liabilities of the LLP. Normal. Statement of cost of goods purchased, the cost sheet, inventories, work in progress, finished goods, and cost of goods sold in case you are a manufacturing concern. This is also required. The LLP is into manufacturing business. Any other particulars which the partners may decide. Right? Tick. Now, In the case of LLP, compliances are there, but those compliances are much less than the compliances required in the case of a company form. So what is the requirement under the Act, LLP Act? The returns you have to file. Which are the returns? A statement of accounts and solvency. There is this Form 8 available on the MCA website. Once you register your company, you register your LLP on the MCA site. So there is a dedicated portal for you. Like in the case of income tax, you can file all those forms over there. You can download those forms, fill those forms, and then attach those forms at the requisite place on the portal through your account. So this is a statement of accounts and solvency. The form number is 8. That shall be filed by every LLP with the registrar. Registrar here is the registrar of companies, not registrar of firms, because with MCA, registrar of companies is the authority. Every year, how do you file this form? On the MCA website. So you are filing the form on MCA website. It is being filed with the registrar only. Within a period of 30 days from the end of 6 months of the financial year to which the statement of account and solvency relates. So there is this Form 8, which is known as the statement of account and solvency. This form or this return has to be filed within a period of 30 days from the end of 6 months of the financial year to which this relates. For example, our previous year in this case is 22-23. So the year 2023 ended on 31st March 23. 6 months from the end of the financial year. So April, May, June, July, August, September. 6 months end on 30th of September. Now the law says, the LLP Act says, this statement of accounts and solvency has to be filed within a period of 30 days from the end of 6 months of the financial year. Our 6 months ended on 30th of September 2023. From that date within 30 days. So what would be the due date for your Form 8? Come on, tell me. What would be the due date for your Form 8? Good, nice. किसी ने भी 31st अक्टूबर में लिखा. Good, Himanshu, Sudhanshu, Rajiv. So 30 days, within 30 days means by 30th of October. Now, what exactly is this statement? आपकी financial health बताती है statement. It contains a liability declaration on the state of solvency of the LLP. How financially strong is the LLP by the designated partners, and also information related to statement of assets and liabilities, statement of income and expenditure of the LLP. Basically, the LLP's financial statements. They will only tell about the statement of accounts and solvency, how solvent you are. Now, next form. Every LLP would be required to file annual return in Form 11. So, statement of accounts and solvency का form है Form 8. Annual return का form है Form 11. With ROC, registrar or ROC, one and the same thing. Within 60 days of close of financial year. Within 60 days of close of financial year. So इस annual return में क्या होता है? This annual return contains about the meetings held by the partners, the minutes, when were the meetings held, who was appointed a designated partner, who left the LLP, who joined the LLP. each and everything which happened during the previous year would be covered in this annual return. In Form 11, so within 60 days, अब Form 11 की डेट बताइए क्या होगी? नहीं किरण, नॉट 31st 30th अक्टूबर. अब इसकी डेट क्या होगी? देखिए, जब मंथ की बात होती है लॉ के अंदर तो पूरा मंथ लिया जाता है, चाहे वो 30 हो चाहे 31 हो. आपने अपने नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स एक्ट में भी किया होगा और आपने बिल्स ऑफ एक्सचेंज में भी किया होगा. पर जब डेज की बात होती है तो 30th और 31 का फर्क पड़ जाता है. व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट मंथ्स, तो कंप्लीट मंथ्स, वेदर इट इज ऑफ 30 days, 28 days or 31 days. But when you are talking about days, calculating days, now you'll have to consider each and every day, right? ये 31 जनवरी वाला कौन आ गया? 31 जनवरी कहाँ चली गई? गुड 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 गुड. Now I hope you have understood Form 8 and Form 11. Now coming to the audit of LLPs, the accounts of every LLP shall be audited in accordance with Rule 24 of LLP Rules 2009, which provide that any LLP whose turnover does not exceed in any financial year 40 lakh rupees or so any of the conditions needs to be met, whose contribution in the case of LLP is the capital of the LLP, partner's contribution, does not exceed 25 lakh rupees, is not required to get its accounts audited. So one LLP, if its turnover exceeds 40 lakh rupees any time of the year, during the year, in the financial year, or the capital contribution part exceeds 25 lakh rupees, whatever event happens, either the capital contribution exceeds 25 lakh rupees during the year or the turnover exceeds 40 lakh rupees, unless and until any of the condition happens, they are not required to get their accounts audited. But if this happens, any of the conditions, 40 lakh or 25 lakh wali, they are bound to get their accounts audited under the Limited Liability Partnership Act. However, if the partners of such limited liability partnership, where they are not exceeding the limits, decide to get their accounts audited, they shall be audited as per the rule. If you are falling under audit provision, you'll have to get your accounts audited as per this rule of the LLP rules. Rule 24 will tell you how the audit has to be conducted. But if you are not falling under the audit provision, even then you want to get your books of account audited voluntarily. It is not required under law, but you want to get the books audited voluntarily. In that case as well, if audit has to be conducted, it has to be conducted as per Rule 24 and not a general audit. I hope you understood. अगर आप LLP के ऑडिट प्रोविजन में फॉल कर रहे हैं, 40 लाख का टर्नओवर क्रॉस कर गया या 25 लाख रुपए से कैपिटल कंट्रीब्यूशन क्रॉस कर गया, कुछ भी हो गया, आपको ऑडिट करवाना पड़ेगा अंडर द LLP एक्ट एज पर रूल 24. बट आपकी टर्नओवर 40 लाख क्रॉस नहीं करती है और आपकी जो कैपिटल कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो 25 लाख है, उससे नीचे है, आपको ऑडिट की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है एक्ट के अंदर, फिर भी आप अगर अपना ऑडिट करवाना चाहते हो, सपोज बैंक कहता है ऑडिट करवाइए, लोन तभी देंगे, तो आपका ऑडिट इन दैट केस ऑल्सो अगर होगा तो एज पर रूल 24 होगा, कोई जनरल रूल्स ऑफ ऑडिट नहीं लगेंगे. रूल 24 जैसे कहते हैं वैसे ऑडिट होगा. ठीक है, राइट? So this was with respect to returns of the LLP and with respect to audit of the LLP's financial statement. अब आप जो ये MCA पे फाइल करते हैं कंपनीज और LLP के, फॉर्म 8 है, फॉर्म 11 है या कोई भी और फॉर्म्स हो सकते हैं, ये सब फॉर्म्स वहां पे अवेलेबल होते हैं जनरल पब्लिक के लिए भी. MCA की साइट पे आपने कुछ भी अपलोड किया है जनरल पब्लिक के लिए अवेलेबल है. कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऐसे हैं जो आपको डायरेक्टली अपना अकाउंट, कोई भी अपना अकाउंट बना सकता है वहां पे और वो एक्सेस कर सकता है उन डॉक्यूमेंट्स को, जनरल पब्लिक के लिए फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट अवेलेबल है। कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स ऐसे हैं जो आपको तभी मिलेंगे अगर आप कुछ फीस पे करेंगे एमसीए पे। So some documents, they require a nominal fee to be paid for 100 rupees. You get a time window. In that time window, you can download those documents if you want to. They are available for general public. So some documents are available free of cost. Some are available on the payment of a prescribed fee. That fee varies from form to form and entity to entity. Okay? Powers of the registrar. The registrar would have power to obtain such information which he may consider necessary for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of the Act. The registrar has the power to call for any information from the partners, designated partners, or employees of LLP. He would also have the power to summon any designated. Summon means to call for information, to get them produced, to call them to him, or employee of LLP before him for any such purpose in case the information which has been furnished or not furnished to him is not satisfied with that information. So this is what I was telling you, documents available for public inspection. So following documents: incorporation document of the LLP, names of partners, any changes made therein, statement of account and solvency, annual return. These are all the documents which are available for public inspection on the MCA website, right? Some documents are available for ₹50, some for ₹5 per page. You can check them on the MCA website. What is the fee required? Default. Default, I will cover this after break. We'll pause on default over here. I'll cover this after break, the default part. Now, appointment of the LLP auditor. The auditor may be appointed by the designated partner of the LLP at any time for the first financial year. So this is a new LLP. They will be appointing auditor for the first time for the first financial year. During the first financial year, they have to appoint the auditor before its end. Before the end of the first financial year, they'll have to appoint the auditor anyhow. Now, next year onwards, from the second year onwards, they have to appoint the auditor or renew the appointment of previous auditor at least 30 days prior to the end of the each financial year. फाइनेंशियल ईयर के खत्म होने से 30 दिन पहले तक आपका ऑडिटर अपॉइंटेड होना चाहिए. The designated partners may appoint auditor to fill the casual vacancy. You know what is a casual vacancy? If the auditor has resigned, or the casual vacancy in case the auditor has been removed by them. So the designated partners have the authority to appoint the auditors. In case the designated partners have failed to appoint the auditors and the time limit is nearer the due date, or the time limit is getting lapsed, we are nearing the time limit, then the partners, the simple partners other than the designated partners, may appoint the auditors in this case. The time limit has expired or it is near expiration. The designated partners have till now not appointed the auditors. In that case, the partners may step into the shoes and they may themselves, the other partners who are not the designated partners, they may appoint the auditors in such a situation, but the auditors need to be appointed within time of the law. Now you must be thinking, sir, there are so many time limits in the case of companies and LLPs. What happens if we are not able to complete that work within the given time limit? So will that work would not be done anyhow? Time निकल गया तो निकल गया, वो काम होगा ही नहीं. वो होगा लेट फीस के साथ होगा. डिफॉल्ट जो पॉइंट मैंने छुड़वाया वो बताऊंगा आपको. वो इसीलिए बताया गया भी एक स्लैब बनाई जाती है, इतने दिन तक इतनी लेट फीस लगेगी, इतने दिन बाद इतनी लेट फीस लगेगी, तो आपको लेट फीस के साथ वो फॉर्म्स भरने होंगे। ठीक है। Advantages or purpose or need of audit of LLP, the same as partnership firm. We have covered them. We have already covered them. Auditor's duty regarding audit of LLP, we have covered them in partnership, the same. The engagement letter, you have to read, the minutes book, the LLP agreement, and reporting. What does the auditor need to report? Whether the records of the firm appear to be correct and reliable, whether he was able to obtain all information and explanation necessary for his work, whether any restriction was imposed upon him. This is what the auditor has to report. Right? This was all about LLPs. Any doubts for time being? Okay, should we take a break? Guys, should we take a break? Tell me. Okay, so let's take a break. It's 7:27. Let's take a break of 15 minutes and we'll be here by 7:42. The next part at 7:45. Let's be here between 7:42 and 7:45. Okay, let's take a break of 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, everyone, we are back. Are you guys back? Yes, Bhumika, other partners will appoint, and Bhumika, LLP incorporated after 30th September of any year, then how such LLP will appoint its auditor? Before the 31st March of that year. This is what we did. At any time during the first financial year, before the end of first financial year. So if they have incorporated the LLP after 30th of September, before 31st March of that year, they'll have to appoint their auditor. I hope, Bhumika, I'm clear. So there is this default provision where it says that LLPs have to file relevant documents, the returns and forms. After their due dates, they up to 300 days, they can file with additional fees, the late filing fee, and no action of prosecution will be taken against them. In case there is a delay of 300 days or more, they'll require to pay normal filing fees, additional fee, and also shall be liable to be prosecuted. And their compounding of offenses provision has also been provided in the LLP Act. Normal fees, the fees which you had to pay even when you would have filed the form within due date. Additional fee is the late filing fee. And what is prosecution? What is prosecution? You guys have to tell me what is prosecution. Can you people tell me what is prosecution? Yes, yes, Darshan. Okay. Dhanshu, right, legal proceedings, taken up legal proceedings to file a case and involving courts. What is compounding of offenses? They said that offense compounding of offenses provision has also been provided under the LLP Act. Compounding means that can be traded against the compensation. An offense that can be compounded means negotiated on the basis of compensation to the party in grief, the party at loss. So that can be done. That is compounding of offenses. So offenses, compounding of offenses provision is also there in the LLP Act. Right? And in the next session, I'll take up one more point with respect to LLPs with you people before the start of the next session. When we'll revise today's lecture, today's topics covered, I'll take up a very important point with respect to LLPs in the next session as well. Okay. So shall we move ahead? So we have done 3 topics: proprietorship, partnership, LLP. Okay, and let's do 2 or 3 smaller topics. Again, in the next session, second session, we'll take up a heavy topic and 2 smaller topics. In the third session, again, we'll do the same. So one major topic in each session. ठीक? चलिए. So now we are doing the case of a charitable institution. So what is a charitable institution? An institution which works, derives its sources of finance from charity. Right? How does a charitable institution work? The charitable institution works on the basis of donations. So you might, there would have been a charitable institution in your area. They collect donations. They have subscriptions to various magazines published by them. And subscriptions of other kinds, annual subscriptions from members of that institution. So they could have established a charitable school, a charitable hospital, or other amenities in that area. So how do we audit a charitable institution which has its sources from donations and charities or grants from the government? And the application is for the benefit of the poor and deprived. The special steps involved in the audit of a charitable institution are stated below. There are some general steps first, which we have already covered. Studying the constitution under which the charitable institution has been set up. So is it an NGO? Is it a Section 8 company? You might have read about in law about Section 8 companies. Okay. Is it in the form of a trust or a society? We'll read about societies in our next lecture. Verifying whether the institution is being managed in the manner contemplated by the law under which it has been set up. So if it is a Section 8 company, Himanshu, I'll tell you this question when we'll take up the concept of NGO, right? If today only, I'll take it up. So verifying whether the institution being managed in the manner contemplated by the law under which it has been set up. If it has been set up under the Companies Act as a Section 8 company, are all the provisions applicable on it as per the Companies Act being taken care of, complied with? If it is under the Societies Act as a society, under the Trust Act, Public Trust Act as a trust, so whatever that act lays down the provisions, are those provisions being complied with? As an auditor, I have to check. This is a common point, examining the system of internal check regarding the amounts collected by way of donations and parchi kaatna, गुप्त दान, anonymous donations, by the name donations. तो ये सब check करना. Verifying in detail the income and confirming the amounts received have been deposited in the bank regularly and promptly. For example, there is this not Section 25 versus Section 8. Section 8 companies. For example, you have this charitable institution in your area, the Happy Kids Society. The Happy Kids Society is a charitable institution which collects donations from the people in the area, from eminent personalities in that particular city, and they work for the upliftment or daily amenities, study needs of the, you can say, children, the deprived children of that area, right? So they might arrange a fair or some kind of a competition, a dance competition or a dandiya night or something like this, whatever be prevalent in their area, and they would give you tickets for that. So all the work is being done by the charitable institution. They are organizing that particular event. People who will be subscribing or purchasing tickets from that event, the money would be utilized for the purpose of the objects of the charitable institution. So whatever amount they have been receiving on a daily basis by selling the tickets to the event or any such kind of program which they are doing or a general charity they are collecting, it is being deposited in the bank on a regular basis, or whatever the deed or the bylaws of the charitable institution contemplate, जो भी वो बोलते हैं बताते हैं. ठीक? So this is a general part. Now coming to specific parts with respect to a charitable institution. Subscriptions and donations. So it happens sometime I subscribe to a charitable institution whereby I subscribe that every month I'll be giving you 1,000 rupees. Or quarterly I'll be contributing, or annually I'll be contributing 15,000 rupees. Or I could also become a life member. A life member, how do you become a life member of any organization? You have to pay only once. If annually you have to pay 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, and they say please become a life member. And for life member, the amount is higher. It could be 10,000, it could be 20,000, it could be 25,000. And you become a life member. Afterwards, you are a life member to the subscribe to that particular charitable institution. You need not contribute on an annual basis or a periodic basis. That is completely your wish. If you want to contribute, you can. Otherwise, it is not required. For annual or monthly members, it is must of them to contribute as decided between them on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. ठीक? So as an auditor, I'll check if there are any changes made in the amount of annual or life membership subscription during the year. So a meeting of the trustees of the charitable institution was held, and they decided that annual contribution be raised from 1,000 to 2,000 rupees and life membership subscription be raised from 20,000 to 25,000 rupees. So this could happen or it could not happen. So as an auditor, I'll have to check the minutes to get a knowledge of this particular criteria. Whether official receipts are being issued or not. So you are taking monthly contributions from various people in the society, or annual contributions, life contributions, or you are issuing tickets to your event. It could be a fair, it could be a Dandiya night, it could be a competition, whatever it is you are organizing. You are issuing proper tickets or receipts against the amount collected. So you can see around you or in your homes, there are different associations, different sansthaएं which collect money for good work in the society. So they give you receipt. Even if you contribute 10 rupees, 50 rupees, 100, 500, 1,000, they give you receipt in your name or as anonymous donation. So as an auditor, I'll have to check those official receipts, confirming that adequate control is imposed over unused receipt books. So if one book has been taken up, it should be completed before switching to the next unused receipt book. A proper control is over there for keeping them and their storage. Obtaining all receipt books covering the period under review, whatever receipt books were used during the period under audit, you'll have to obtain all those receipt books, because there's a carbon paper. They give you the original receipt, and the carbon paper, there is a copy in the receipt book. They just detach the receipt from the receipt book, give it to you, but there is a pink or yellow color papers over there where you get a carbon imprint. So that is what the receipt book is there for checking by the auditor. Test checking the counterfoils with the cash book, any cancelled receipts being specially looked in. What is a counterfoil? So you have got money, you check the receipt book. Now you'll deposit that cash in the bank. So you'll get a counterfoil that this much receipt was there. This was the cash recorded in the cash book, and the same was deposited in the bank. Any receipts which have been cancelled, why were they cancelled? They gave me a receipt. I asked for 5,000, they gave me a receipt of 500. Or I asked I would be donating 500, they issued a receipt of 5,000. So they cancel that receipt and give me a fresh receipt. So there should be genuine reasons for receipts being cancelled. Obtaining the printed list of subscriptions and donations and agreeing with the total collections shown in the account. So for the month of May, this was a daily collection. These much people subscribed for annual or life membership. I'll obtain a list. I'll check it with the month of May, and the total for the month of May matches with how many people have subscribed new and how many were already availing the subscription. 10 लोग का सब्सक्रिप्शन ऑलरेडी चल रहा था, 5 लोगों ने और सब्सक्राइब किया मई के अंदर, तो 10 का तो हर महीने आ ही रहा था, 5 का और नया आ गया, चाहे लाइफ है चाहे एनुअल है. आई विल चेक विद द टोटल्स ऑफ द receipt book with the list. Examining the system of internal check regarding money received from box collections. What are box collections? You visit many shops in the market. You see there is a box kept at the counter. It could be for anything, for a religious ceremony, or for, there is this Gau Seva or anything, for a noble cause, or, for the tsunami relief, earthquake relief. For any noble cause, the shopkeepers keep a charity box over there, and it could be in the name of a certain institute. For example, a charitable institute asks me, sir, can we place our box in your office or in your shop? Whatever people want to donate, they can donate in that box in the form of cash, and on weekly or fortnightly or monthly basis, we'll be collecting that receipts from that box and installing it again in your office or shop. I said, okay. So these are the box collections. Flag days are the important days. Checking the amount received from representatives with the correspondence and official receipts issued. Paying special attention to the system of control exercised over collection, internal controls, who is collecting, who is recording, and who is depositing the money, to ensure that all collections made have been accounted for. Verifying the total subscriptions and donations received with any figures published in reports issued by the charity. The charitable institution comes with a monthly or weekly magazine, and they have written in that for the previous month or the previous week, this was our collection. Whatever has been said in that particular report, is it matching with the books of accounts or not? As an auditor, I'll have to check. Yes, Varsha, it could be both copies, or the original copy would have been destroyed by the donor. So we'll check. If both copies are there, this is completely proof that the receipt has been cancelled, no amount was collected. But we have only the institute's copy. We'll make sure that we'll get in touch with the donor external confirmation that was the receipt cancelled, destroyed by you, or in front of you. Aisha, that is something which is not it is a difficult thing. You will do that in your CA final direct taxation course. The political parties and charitable institutions, what are the limits, what are the donation limits, how are they accounted for, and what is the impact on charitable institution as well as a political party. You will be covering it in your CA final direct tax paper. Okay, Aisha? Legacies and grants. So what is a legacy? Have you watched Purani movies, the golden era of the 80s and 70s? So there was this person, and he had a child, he was on his deathbed, the Dadaji, the grandfather, the child had no parents, but some evil uncle or auntie, right? Taking care, his care. Movies like Sita or Geeta, Chalbaz, and Ram or Sham, if you have seen those movies. So उसमें क्या होता था? So huge wealth involved, bangla, gaadi, and all, and the evil uncle or auntie would fight with the child for those assets and that wealth. So the dying grandpa would name everything in the favor of that grandchild, who is still a minor, in the name of a public trust, private trust. And there was this Vakil Saab advocate who would take care, who would come every month to give the child some maintenance amount from the assets, from the income of that trust, which was getting accumulated under that trust and being, uh, monitored by the trustees or the guardians. So that is what a legacy. Some people say, you see some kind of wasiyats. So wasiyat is will. So what is legacy? There are some people, many prominent people today, they announce on social media or something that will not be giving anything to our children. After we die, we are going to donate our money. Whatever is with us, it will go into charity. You can see on Twitter or Insta every now and then. If you scroll through Insta reels, the other day I was able to go through a note on Insta reel where some eminent personality had announced that it was on Twitter as well, that I'll be donating all my wealth to charity. That is legacy. That is legacy, right? Verifying the grants what you receive from the government in the form of donation, verifying the amounts received by reference to correspondence with any figures and other available information. So there would be some legal document in the case of a legacy. In the case of grants, there would be a letter obtained from the government, issued by the government, that this much amount is being given to you. As an auditor, I have to check. Vouching the amount received with the relevant correspondence, receipts, and minute books. Obtaining a certificate from a responsible official showing the amount of grants received. This is a person within the institution who gives us a certificate that we have this letter with us. This much amount was received in the form of check or directly credited in the bank account on this date or in this much installments during the year. This is the amount of grants received by the charitable institution. We'll take a certificate from the responsible official within the charitable institution. Now they have money with them, either received by legacy or grants or collected from general public. There is surplus money with them after meeting the requirements of their objects. Whatever their objects were, जिस भी काम के लिए उन्होंने रुपया लिया था वो होता रहता है. उसके बाद उनके पास surplus money होती है, तो charitable institutions invest that money. And the income which is received from those investments, I'll have to check that as well. So they might have invested in the mutual funds or FDs or in banks. I'll have to check with the certificates or counterfoils. I'll check the arithmetical accuracy of the interest on securities bearing fixed rates of interest. They might have invested in RBI bonds or government's bonds or gold sovereign bonds. They bear a fixed rate of interest. I might check upon that how much amount of interest has been recorded in books. If it is less, why is it less? Has it been proportionately recorded as per the financial year accrual concept? Checking appropriate dividend has been received where any investment has been sold ex dividend or purchased cum dividend. You have done AS13 chapter of investments in accounting. You know what is ex dividend or cum dividend and how is dividend accounted for. As an auditor, I'll have to check that dividend has been properly recorded. If the investment was sold by the charitable institution ex dividend or cum dividend, it was purchased. Comparing the amount of dividend received with schedule of investments, making special inquiries into any investments held for which no dividend has been received. Why no dividend has been received? It could be a growth investment where there is growth, dividend is not paid, right? So I'll have to check the size of the investments held by the charitable institute and the corresponding income being received by the charitable institute. Examining the rent roll and inspecting tenancy agreements, noting in each case the amounts of the rent and due dates. So there is a charitable institution. They have a temple or a mosque or a gurudwara or a church, whatever religious place they could have built inside their premises. They could rent those premises for carrying out religious ceremonies. So what amount of rent do they get? On what due dates they get? For example, they have let one of their buildings to a particular organization, you can say for some kind of work like taking extracurricular classes, or for you can say holding organizing some programs for the benefit of the deprived children. Or if it is for commercial purpose, it has to be separated whether it is for charitable purpose or commercial purpose. If it is a commercial income, we'll have to check on what due dates, what is the due date of receiving the rent, and what is the amount of rent received by the charitable institution. We'll have to check it with the cash book or the bank statement. Diksha, you go, somebody comes to you in the receipt book, right? And they give you a receipt. Okay, the slip which they retain with them, it is a counterfoil. Counterfoil is a copy of the receipt. You go to McDonald's and they give you a receipt along with your bill, and they tell you that please give this receipt at counter number this. Or any restaurant, please give this receipt at counter number this and take your ordered food from there. So you have a bill with you, you have a receipt with you, as well as one receipt is with the restaurant people. So this is what counterfoil is. You go to the ATM, you withdraw money, you get a receipt, that is also counterfoil. Or you go to तुम लोगों ने bank audit किया. Bank audit, what is it? The ATM receipt which the customer gets, and the same is printed within the ATM machine as well. That is a counterfoil. You go to a departmental store, you are issued a bill, right? They keep a copy with them. You pay through card. Original copy they give it to you, and one copy they keep it with them. They ask you, do you need a copy? I say, yes, I need a copy of whatever I have paid through my credit card or debit card. Or sometimes I would say, I don't need a copy. I've got a message on mobile phone. But they'll print their copy. They'll keep it in their record. That is a counterfoil. Copy receipt of the original receipt is a counterfoil. Right, Diksha? Am I clear? Sudhanshu, vouching is like whatever amount is recorded in the books, and you have receipts available or slips available against those amounts, that to check them with those receipts or paper evidence is called vouching. The accountant of the institution deposited a sum of 20,000 on 7th of June 2023. On 8th of June, I went there, I'm checking, I would say, okay, 20,000 cash book says 20,000 contra entry deposited in bank. I would ask, you might have gone to the bank, you would have filled a receipt, you would have gone to the bank counter, the bank person would have stamped it, one receipt they would have kept with them, and would have given you another copy of the receipt or the shorter receipt. That is a counterfoil. And with those counterfoils, when I check the figures in the books, that is called vouching. I hope Sudhanshu and Diksha, you are clear. Aisha remembers Amar Akbar and Thune with legacy. Okay. Sundry receipts. What are sundry receipts? So it could be vouching gross receipts and outgoing in respect of any आपने कॉन्सर्ट करवाया, कोई ड्रामेटिक परफॉर्मेंसेस कराई किसी पर्टिकुलर इवेंट पे फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ गेटिंग चैरिटी, so we'll have to check with such vouchers and cash statements कितना कलेक्शन हुआ receipts का. In particular, verifying that proceeds of all tickets issued have been accounted for, making allowance for returns. Of I would tell, so some government aided colleges, they get a grant from the universities. They are asked, whatever colleges are falling under that particular university, they are asked that on June 5 you have to organize a program on Environment Day, World Environment Day, or you have to organize a sports function or a cultural function in your college, and 50% of the expenses or 100% of the expenses would be reimbursed by the university to you, but you have to arrange this function or organize this seminar or organize this particular event. So what do the schools do or colleges do? They organize the function, they make the expenses, and after that they submit a reimbursement claim to the university in a form given by the university, duly attested by the principal and particular program head. Now sometimes what do the universities tell them, that whatever you are submitting to us in the form given by us, in the format given by us, please get it attested by a chartered accountant who will check all the invoices, who will check whether these have been properly recorded in your books. He'll attest it and then will believe that yes, you have actually incurred such expenses. So if this particular college person comes to me that, sir, we want to get this certificate of grant attested where we have done this much of expenses, I would ask, please bring your books, please bring all the invoices. The invoices in this case, they'll bring to me, Sudhanshu, and I'll check with the invoices, all the expenses have been properly recorded. I'll check whether the invoices are genuine or not. I have special auditors are trained enough to check whether they'll get to know whether the invoices are genuine or not. And then I'll sign the certificate that whatever amount has been asked by the college or school from the university as reimbursement of expenses made in organizing such function are correct. So that is what vouching I have done. Okay, Sudhanshu? So I'll check it and then they'll submit that certificate with the university, or university इनको grant release कर देगी, reimbursement कर देगी. ठीक? Now coming to the expenditure by the charitable institutions. So vouching the payment of grants, also verifying that the grants have been only paid for a charitable purpose or purpose falling within the purview of the objects for which the charitable institution has been set up. No trustee, director, or member of committee has benefited therefrom either directly or indirectly. Yes, Varsha, it is called utilization certificate. Very good. Okay, it is called utilization certificate. So you have done NGOs, the topic of NPOs in your accounts, commerce classes, +1, +2, and you have done it in your foundation as well. So तुम लोग accounts का ही question करते होगे जिसमें there is building fund. So somebody has given grant, or the government has given grant to the charitable institute that you develop a building, you have land, you get a building constructed on your land to provide medical relief to the poor, appoint doctors, or you construct a school, appoint teachers, and provide education to the deprived children in your area. Now that particular grant or donation, if received by a private person or individual or government, has been given for a specific purpose. I'll have to make a fund of that particular grant and utilize money from that grant towards that specific purpose only. I cannot use it to meet the electricity expenses of the charitable institution. No, these are general expenses that can be met from general grants. So as an auditor, I'll have to check the difference between the revenue expenditure and the capital or specific expenditure. Okay? And no trustee, director, or member of the management committee, whatever the kind of organization charitable institute is, no one should benefit directly or indirectly from that particular amount. For example, you have been given grant of 10 lakh rupees. 10 lakh rupees are lying in the bank account. Building is getting constructed. In particular year, you are just in the need of 2 lakh rupees. The director or the trustee says, okay, I need money for something else, for my personal purpose. And you take it as a loan from the charitable institution and give it back after 2 to 3 months. Directly, indirectly, you cannot use the funds of charity for your purpose, either directly or indirectly. ठीक? Verifying the schedules of security as well as the inventory of properties, both movable and immovable, assertions, rights and obligations and existence, verifying the cash and bank balance payments, ascertaining that any funds contributed for a special purpose have been utilized for that purpose only. For a particular dramatic performance, funds were raised. So funds have been used for that dramatic performance only and not for anything else. If there is a surplus, that should be counted as surplus with the society. Check payment along with supporting documents in regard to salary and other expenses. Verify that all payments are made by proper sanction by appropriate authorities. Whatever expenses are being made in various events or programs of the charitable institution, they are being made after a sanction by the appropriate authority. Whosoever is authorized to sanction that expenditure, proper approval and sanction is being taken. Taxation and tax refunds. So, in the chapter of exempt incomes in your income tax, you might have read section 11 and 12 of the Income Tax Act that charitable institutions, if they follow certain criteria and are eligible, their income is exempt from tax. What is their income? The money they get and on whatever purpose they expend on, whatever is left behind, it could be a surplus, it could be a deficit as well. If it is a surplus, that is kind of an income, but they need not pay tax upon this income if they satisfy certain conditions as per the Income Tax Act. But sometimes it happens that they might be getting interest income, they might be getting certain incomes on which TDS is applicable, tax deducted at source. So in that case, as a chartered accountant auditor, I would check on what income the TDS was deducted. First of all, the TDS should not have been deducted because the charitable institute should have furnished a certificate of no deduction of TDS to their jurisdictional officer, the CIT, that TDS need not be deducted on their income because their income is exempt from tax. They are satisfying all the eligibility conditions. But अगर वो certificate produce नहीं कर पाए हैं और TDS कट गया है, तो I'll get their return of income. They'll get their return of income filed and obtain a refund of the TDS because there is no tax on their income. The tax is nil. The TDS, we can only get that back when we file the return of income and the refund is credited to us. Right? Okay. So this is what is the case with charitable institution. I hope I'm clear. Chaliye. Last topic of the day, educational institution. Can we do it? Should I cover it today only? Have you got enough energy reserved for this topic? I can finish it in 10 minutes. If you have done charitable institution, it is very easy. Educational institution, I just need to go through with you people on that points. Is the whole energy drained or you still have some energy reserved for this topic? Only then I'll take it up. Please let me know. Okay, nice, nice. ठीक है. Okay. So while auditing an educational institution, just imagine your school or your college and see what could be the various sources of income, what could be the various expenditures. So general points clear. Examining educational institution, it could be set up under a charitable institution or a trust or a society, might be managing the school. So you'll have to examine the constitution and then the trust deed or the bylaws. Minutes of meeting of the management committee or the governing body, you have to read, and who is operating, who is empowered or authorized to operate the bank account and sanction the expenditures. These are the general points. Okay, now chaliye. Now tell me, considering your school and your college, what could be the various sources of income for the educational institution? What could be the various sources of income or various sources of funds to the school or college? Very good, Rajiv. Students' fee. Other facilities could be fees for co-curricular activities, fee for if there is a mess provided, or dormitories or hostels provided by the school or college or university. That is also a source of income for the educational institution. Grants by the government, admission fee, donations by the eminent personalities, canteen fee, or the school might have lent rental fees, or the parking fee. The school has some extra piece of land adjoining to the school that might be used for some commercial purposes. Anything. Those are miscellaneous receipts. The major receipts are from the students or the grants or donations, right? Students' transportation, bus fees, very good. Transportation fees, exam fees, sports deposit, very good. Rent from canteens. It could enter into an agreement with the canteen people from the hotel industry, that you operate a canteen in our school on royalty basis or rental basis. It could provide, the school could provide its premises after the school hours for some educational events, for some academic events on the basis of rent. Awards from competition, very good. Auditorium given for academic events, very good people, right? So let us do all this receipts. So receipts from students, what the auditor has to check: admission fees with admission slips. So whatever admission fee has been recorded in the books of account, check it with, on a sample basis, check it with the admission slips. They have been signed by the head of the institution or a person authorized, and confirm that the amount has been credited to a capital fund unless managing committee has taken a decision to the contrary. So whatever funds you get, you have to credit it to the capital fund, unless managing committee has decided in the meeting that no amount would not be credited to the capital fund is the capital of this particular form of organization. Like it was contribution in case of LLP, capital in case of partners or proprietorship, share capital in case of company. So here, in the case of charitable institutions or in the case of societies and all, we maintain capital fund. Names entered in the students fee register for each month or term. The names entered is the number corresponding to the fees obtained. Total fees obtained divided by the number of students. Fee per student, you can get the number of students. Are they matching with the students register with respective class registers, showing names of student on roll, and on sampling basis, I have to test amount of fees charged and should check whether a proper system of internal check is in place. Late fee is being charged, penalty is being levied, late fee is being charged from the students who are depositing the fee after the due date. Fees received by comparing counterfoils of receipts. So what is now here counterfoil? You issue a receipt, you have a receipt book, whatever you issue to the student, that is a counterfoil of that particular receipt. You issue a receipt to the student, it has three parts, one for the school, one for the bank, and one for the student. When you deposit the fees in the bank or you deposit the fees online, one receipt is kept by the bank, one is given for the school to be submitted in the school, and one is to be preserved by the student. That is a counterfoil which is preserved by the student. And we have to check it. So we have to check it with the cash book and trace the collections in the fee register as well to confirm that revenue from this source has been duly accounted for. Now, this system has completely changed in present days when all the fees is being deposited online. Audit in an automated environment. Okay. Then total of the various columns of the fees register. This is done online. Online, you have the fees register for each month or term to ascertain that fees paid in advance has been carried forward, and areas that are irrecoverable have been written off. किसी की फीस माफ कर दी है, waive कर रही है, it has been written off. Irrecoverable है, the student is not coming to the school, he or she has left the school, dropped from the school. That fees which has been arrears, it is irrecoverable now. Fines or late payment for any absence have been collected, remitted under proper authority. For example, in college, when you would go to collect your roll card from the college, and they would say your attendance is short by this many days, this is the penalty or late absent against the late, your absence you'll have to pay, only then your roll card will be issued. That is also receipt from the students. What could be the miscellaneous receipts? Receipts from hostels, we have confirmed, we have discussed that, and we need to discuss the caution money. What is the caution money? Basically security. You are living in the hostel, you have broken the window, you have broken the AC, shararti ho, so that is adjusted from the caution money, the security deposit by you, and it should be treated as a liability in the books of the educational institution. When the student leaves the school or the college, that caution money or security should be refunded to the student after adjusting his dues, whatever dues are owed by the student towards the school. Rental income, investment incomes, we all know. Grants and donation, vouch and verify if any government or local authority grant with the memo of that grant. Memo is the letter received from that particular authority. We are giving you this much money as a grant. If any expense has been disallowed for the purpose of grant, ascertain the reasons therefore. For example, the university has said that we will reimburse you, we'll grant you money for holding this particular sports function in your college. When I submitted my claim, of 1 lakh rupees. University reimbursed me 95,000 rupees because 5,000 rupees in that were for the purpose of conveyance, which the university says that this was not allowed as a condition of our grant. Conveyance allowance for this particular student or principal, this was not allowed. So this was disallowed. I'll ask it. You had submitted claim for 1 lakh rupees, but you have been reimbursed only 95,000 rupees. Why these 5,000 rupees were disallowed? Has it been properly reported as an expense? Because now that becomes your expense if it has not been reimbursed. So ये disallow क्यों हुआ था? Grant किस purpose के लिए दी गई थी और उसका कौन सा expense disallow हुआ? डोनेशंस जो रिपोर्ट में पब्लिश की गई है, क्या आपकी बुक्स के साथ मिलती है? और डोनेशन अगर किसी स्पेसिफिक पर्पस के लिए दी गई है, लाइब्रेरी बनाने के लिए डोनेशन दी गई है, तो क्या लाइब्रेरी ही बन रही है, उस लाइब्रेरी की बिल्डिंग बुक्स परचेज की जा रही है, या आप उसको केमिस्ट्री लैब में यूज कर रहे हैं? यू आर यूटिलाइजिंग इट इन getting a canteen constructed over there in your school premises. If a grant has been given for a specific purpose, it should be utilized for that specific purpose. As an auditor, I'll have to check that. Right? Investments. See that the investments representing endowment funds for prizes are kept separate, and any income in excess of the prizes has been accumulated and invested along with the corpus. So what is it? What is an endowment fund? जो बढ़ता रहता है. So आपने prizes या scholarships के लिए कुछ amount प्रोवाइड की हुई है, अलग से रिजर्व्स बनाए हुए हैं, उनको इन्वेस्ट किया जाए प्रॉपरली, और जो भी इनकम उनसे आ रही है इंटरेस्ट की, वो उनके अंदर ऐड की जाए, उनकी अमाउंट अक्यूमुलेट की जाए, उनको कहीं और यूज ना किया जाए. आई हैव टू चेक दिस. कंफर्म दैट रिफंड ऑफ टैक्सेस of income from investment has been claimed and recovered, since such institutions are generally exempted from the payment of income tax. So there is a separate provision in the Income Tax Act. There is a separate section for the charitable institutions and a separate section for the educational institution, which provides the conditions under which these are exempt from tax. If this particular educational institution is complying with all such conditions, then its income is also exempt from tax and it can file for refund. As an auditor, I'll have to check that. The capital expenditures, the establishment expenses, heavy expenditures, revenue expenditures have been properly authorized and sanctioned. जिसके पास अथॉरिटी है वही सैंक्शन करे, बिना अथॉरिटी या सैंक्शन के एक्सपेंसेस नहीं हो रहे इंस्टीट्यूट में. If it is the kind of thing which is happening in the institute, I'll have to bring it to the notice of the management. The free studentship and concessions have been granted by a person authorized to do so. So there is a particular board, particular committee in the education institution. किस स्टूडेंट की फीस वेव की जाएगी, किसे स्कॉलरशिप दी जाएगी, वो पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप डिसाइड करता है, वो सैंक्शन करता है. उसके बाद उस स्टूडेंट को कंसेशन दिया जाएगा, फीस वेव ऑफ की जाएगी या उसे स्कॉलरशिप दी जाएगी. तो उनके सैंक्शन के बाद ही उस स्टूडेंट को कंसेशन या स्कॉलरशिप दी गई है. एज एन ऑडिटर आई हैव टू चेक दैट हैपहैजर्डली नहीं ये काम किया गया है. दिस हैज बीन डन अंडर प्रॉपर अथॉरिटी एंड सैंक्शन. सैलरी पेमेंट्स आर बीइंग मेड प्रॉपरली. Provident fund is being maintained and amount is being transferred in time, and further this amount is being invested in appropriate securities. See that increase in the salaries of staff has been sanctioned and minuted by the committee, has been discussed in the committee meeting, and then only it has been sanctioned that salary of the staff is being increased by this much percentage. Assets, normal, you have read it in your chapter 9. Assertions with respect to assets, rights and obligation, and that existence, it is the same. Okay. Liabilities, again, you have done it in chapter 9. The major liability is the caution money and any other refundable deposits paid by the students. They are being shown as liability in the balance sheet and not directly shown as income or revenue. If they are non-refundable, then it is your income. But if they are refundable, then it should be shown as a liability on the liability side as a deposit, caution money under the heading of security deposit. Internal controls. So I'll have to check the internal controls that there should not be old heavy arrears on account of fees, dormitory rents, etc. If there are any, we should report it to the managing committee so that they could take steps to recover them or take decision to write them off from the books of accounts, because as a loss if they are irrecoverable. Verify the annual statements of account, and while doing so, see the separate statements of account has been prepared regarding if you are maintaining a poor boys fund, games fund, postal and provident fund for staff. These funds should be separately maintained, and the money being credited to these accounts should not be used for any other general purpose. As an auditor, I'll have to check that these funds are being maintained and the amounts kept in these funds, reserved in these funds, are being invested properly. Vouch payments, again, electricity and water bills, quite a common point. Verify the capital fund for increase or decrease with respect to previous year figures. So you keep the previous year balance sheet with you and current year balance sheet. If there is an increase in the capital fund of the institute, what has led to such increase? Is there a surplus during the year earned by the educational institute? The expenses were less than the income, justified. But if it is lower than the previous years, the closing is lower than the opening. So what could be the reasons? Obviously, there could have been a deficit. The educational institute might have run into losses. The expenses are more than the income this year. So I'll have to correlate all these facts and circumstances, right? So this was with respect to your educational institution. Aisha, caution money is the security deposit. Caution money is the security deposit. For example, you take a room or a bed in the hostel of the school, and they ask you the monthly rental is 5,000 rupees, and you have to deposit 2 months rental as security deposit or caution money. Okay, to keep the particular person in caution so that he or she should not break or bring any damage to the property of the institute. ठीक? So today we have done sole proprietorship, partnership, LLP, charitable institution, and educational institution. In the next lecture, either we'll be taking up cooperative societies or miscellaneous topics along with that, or we'll be taking up government audit, NGOs, and local bodies. Okay, I'll choose any one combination and then we'll do that. Fine. Any doubts for the day? Yes, Aisha, it is like advance deposit. Any doubts for the day, please? If there are any doubts, I'll be happy to take them up. Or if you want to read it from your material and then you want to come up with doubts in the next session, first 5, 10 to 15 minutes, whatever you require, I'll be giving to clear your doubts. I'll be taking them up in the next session. Right? Chaliye, do read and let me know your doubts in the next session. We'll clear them in the next session. Himanshu, what are you saying? There was Himanshu, I'm not able to understand. Acha. Okay. Himanshu, tell me you're joking, right? Because I specifically made it a point that I don't share the sound. Okay, Himanshu. I'll send you them separately, Himanshu. The sounds of drums and claps. You people are amazing too, Sudhanshu. Okay. Either in the next session or in the last session, I'll take you virtually through the tour of a hotel and cinema hall and a club. Right? Chaliye. Take good care of yourselves. Good night, everyone. We'll meet you on Saturday, day after tomorrow. Take care till then.